Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventures. I'm your guide, Jason. We've spoken about many gods, some great and others lacking. Some are troublemakers like Loki, others jovial and insane like Dionysus. But what about one of destruction? Thus I present to you Apophis. And no, that title isn't hyperbole. We got ourselves a bona fide dark god of destruction. Apophis, also called Apep and Apoph, comes from Egyptian mythology. He's said to take the form of a giant snake with a head made of flint stone. Generally, he's said to be about 15 to 50 meters long, so about the size of the Titanoboa. But that is just artistic representations. Likely he is bigger. I'm betting for a lot of you, are probably familiar with this god thanks to Stargate, where Apophis is a Goa'uld system lord, which Tilk once served. He was a major villain for a few seasons, before eventually falling, as is the pattern with most series. But who was the mythological Apophis? Was he more ruthless than a tyrannical alien parasite which enslaved worlds? Place your bets on this. According to the coffin texts, he is a primordial being, one of the first to exist. In the Egyptian creation myth, when the god Atum stood on the Benben, the primordial mound, which sits within the swirling primordial waters of chaos itself, called Nu. And Apophis already existed before the mound which rose at Atum's command. The goddess of magic Heka joined him, and in sum, the goddess Neith comes from the water to join the others in creation of the world. That version has a few changes though. Now, the act of creating that little primordial mound pissed off Apophis. You see, he is chaos and entropy, and Atum's actions brought about the exact opposite, and that is order. So, he's already a mad god. Before creation, everything was unified in nothing and chaos. But thanks to the other gods, now there was water and land, light and dark, male and female. Amongst the first things created was the sun. It brought with it light, life, and divine order. Apophis thought that if he could devour it, then he could return the world back to how it was before. In the versions where Neith was present for creation, Apophis changes. He was not a primordial being, but was created at the moment of creation. And this fits the ties to duality. If this was when order was created, then at the same time, chaos was created. It was Neith who did create him. As she emerged from the chaotic waters, she spat into the water, and that is what became Apophis. He would swim away to avoid being used in creation. Of course, due to the centuries of Egyptian mythology, there are a few versions. And in one of them, it says that Apophis was actually the first sun god, but got deposed when Ra came along. So, you could see why he would hate Ra. With Apophis set on devouring the sun, that set him against the sun god Ra. And thus begins the nightly war and battle he has against Ra. Each morning, Ra will take his barge and sail through the sky, as he prepares to return to Duat, the underworld, by passing through the gate, Akhet. And this is the moment where Apophis strikes. Ra is forced to battle against his foe, but he is not alone. Many gods will aid him at different points throughout history, including Isis, Neith, Serket, the sons of Horus, Set, and many more. But there is one group which is particularly interesting, and that is the justified dead. Mortals who are allowed to join Ra on his barge to pass through the sky each day. And yes, this concept is very similar to the Einherjar of Norse mythology. And there were times when they captured and slew Apophis. One important figure in this was the divine cat Mao. This cat guarded the Tree of Life, which held the secrets of eternal life and divine knowledge. It was present at the moment of creation, alongside Apophis and Atem, and it represents Ra's protective nature. With Mao's help, Apophis has been slain, chopped up, and disemboweled in every conceivable method. And yet, each night, he fully regenerated, and again and again. Thus, they may battle forever with no potential end to their struggle. Now, mortals can help. There is a whole host of rituals performed by mortals. Two stand out. Lighting the fire and drawing the bolt. At night, the inner sanctum of the temples of Ra were closed and locked. In the hour before sunrise, the priest would light a fire, a symbol of the new dawn which is approaching. This was meant to empower Ra. Then at dawn, They would open the doors of the temple, and it would send Ra on his voyage for the day. This was a way for the living to aid the dead, connecting the two worlds together. In doing so, this was something mortals could do to preserve the daily balance of the world. Yet what of cloudy days or stormy days? What about eclipses? Well, not every battle against Apophis went well. On those days, Apophis did well in battle, but he never succeeds. That is important. For when he does, it marks the end to order, and with it, the world. Apophis himself never had any temples or a large number of followers. Okay, I'm sure that there was a doomsday cult that popped up a couple of times which worshipped Apophis, but no organized religions. Apophis was the manifestation of everything feared in Egyptian mythology. He has sought to purge the world. One thing which he wanted to destroy was the names of people. Now, if you look much into Egyptian mythology, you may have noticed the importance of names. They would even inscribe a person's name on statues, so that their soul could return from the underworld and possess the statue to speak. Thus Apophis wanted to remove the names to prevent communication between the living and the dead, thus aiding him in the battle against Ra. So, how can Ra and his group win the battle? Well, they seem to have a pretty good battle plan to be sure. We know when the battle will begin. At sunset, and it's a snake. According to mythology, he has powers over storms, earthquakes, and other disasters. So, some large-scale area of effect attacks to be sure. Make sure you have plenty of protective spells. Now, to deal with Apophis, we are looking at a giant snake. We are looking at him using grappling and binding attacks. This means close-quarter combat. Now, the legends speak of nets being used, and this isn't a bad choice. He is a snake, which means if it is a tight net, he'll struggle to escape. And snakes do have a weak point. It's right behind the head. There, they can't bite you. I'm not sure if he has venom or not, but let's assume so. And even if not, this is a giant snake, so a bite is going to be bad. But we do have one factor. This was a god, and that means a whole additional host of powers. And it took multiple other gods to bring it down day after day. So we could assume that they took turns, and the humans helping out. Not to mention the divine cat Mao, who has the secrets of immortality. Yeah, this is actually a pretty stacked force to stop it. And we need to add in the impact of mortals. Now, their daily rituals may not sound like much, yet these are religious acts, which are meant to empower those battling against Apophis. There's plenty of arguments about gods gaining power from mortals, and that could be possible under such a condition. I'm going to give Apophis a 10 of 10 difficulty, but with a caveat. This is a fight where the gods can't afford to lose, even once. And they got to do this every night for all eternity, so that's a difficult issue. And even if they slay Apophis, he'll just come back tomorrow. Yeah, they've got to go in on a max defense strategy. But if you are doing it daily, for eternity, they have to get pretty good. Now, the idea of a dark god of destruction is a popular idea in fiction. It was a major plot point in games like Baldur's Gate 3, where you had 3 of them to deal with. So does this make sense? Would a fantasy world even have such a god? Why would they even have followers? Well, who would benefit from the destruction of the sun? Well, vampires are an obvious one. With no sun, they would lose one of their major weaknesses. Yet there's a problem. Apophis doesn't just want to destroy the sun, but plunge the world into chaos to purge life. So they may not. But there are always those who seek to overthrow the current status quo. We've all met those who just want to create trouble. Those who have been shunned and rejected by society. Those who want to tear down the world and rebuild it. Yes, there are people who would. Yet ultimately, their goal will always result in their own destruction. Apophis in particular wants to return the world to its primal state, back to the chaotic waters of Nu, a state with no land, no day or night, no order. The world returned to chaos and entropy. Now, whether Apophis would survive this is something you could debate. It would depend on which origin you look at. While Apophis doesn't have the longest list of feats in mythology, his impact on Egyptian culture cannot be ignored. He is the embodiment of their fears and the enemy of their gods. an immortal foe who can be beaten back, but will always return tomorrow to try again. We can all appreciate that level of determination. So, to answer my little joke at the start, no, a gold system lord is not worse than the mythological Apophis. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next time. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.